Matari.
Okay.
Mr. Matari, the current Board of Commissioners negotiated a purchase of Kootenai Electric in the neighborhood of $5 million, from what I understand. I'm not so certain on the number. And the current Board of Commissioners also want to build a $25 million attorney building. If you're elected, will you commit to evaluating and assessing the necessary needs of this county, and whether this recent purchase of this Kootenai Electric building and this proposal for $25 million attorney building is absolutely in our best interest? Would you reevaluate the direction of the county in that regard?
Yes.
That was the easiest question all day.
Yes, it was. It was an easy one. Thank you.
Well, I want more
Okay.
elaboration.
Any hands, any questions for any other candidates? Ed Humphries is here.
Can I just ask Bruce why you're saying yes? I mean, just I want some more
Why?
information, that's all.
Of course, because we can't be in a situation where the cobbler's kids have no shoes, and we need to look at making sure that the organization of county government is running properly. I've come to find that people will work in less desirable conditions as long as they feel like they're getting paid appropriately. They're willing to put up with these things. But to spend huge sums of money to be in the real estate business before we're taking care of our operations, I want to know a lot more about that and what makes that a prudent choice versus taking care of our operations.
Thank you.
Christine.
Oh, I got a
Go ahead.
question here for Bruce, for you. Government is a zero-sum game, right? There's inputs, there's outflows. You stood up here and everybody raised their hand and they said, we're all for law enforcement. You didn't ask the other question, which is, who wants higher taxes? Okay? And I think you'll find that very few people go, yay, higher taxes. So I've been around here long enough and I've watched politics around here long enough to see county commissioners come and go. And you have all these departments, they come to you for money, and they say, we need more money. You say, yeah, okay, we'll give you more money, and then the taxes go up, and you get the axe as a result. So I'd hate to see you come out as a candidate who's for higher taxes. So how are you gonna balance those two things? How are you gonna balance the needs of the community and the needs of law enforcement, the needs of all the agencies under the government, and not sacrifice the taxes to the people?
That's a great question. And the reality is that it's up to the people in government to make the case to you and the community. I heard a couple of gasps when I said, did you all realize our 911 dispatch is 30% vacant? Because you didn't know that. So I feel like if I can provide you with the information so you know what is going on in county government, you can make that decision. It's not up to me to figure out how to raise taxes or give people raises. It's up to me to present to you what's really going on in your county government. One of the things that really disappointed me was that I've lived in liberal communities. Probably the most liberal was Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, in the city. I process served when I started my business for extra money. In every little nook and cranny of that city. That city is being run by Democrats. The state is run by Democrats. It's a hellhole. So when we relocated out here to what is supposed to be a very conservative community, and it is, I was really shocked to discover that some of these things were happening. It was only just through working with our sheriff as his campaign manager. I never met him before. I just knew that the sheriff position was an important position, and I wanted to play a role in getting the right person into that position. Someone who will be thinking about our rights, given the way things are going. Virginia used to be just like Idaho. I remember as a kid seeing the shotgun in the back of that pickup truck window. Oh, that'll never happen here. Strong, solid Second Amendment state. Well, it didn't take long until that Democrat governor, Northam, I think they called him blackface, was threatening to take away people's AR-15s, and sheriffs had to step up and say, look, if you even try to do that, I will deputize every person in this county to keep you from doing that. That's how important that position is to me. And that's why I got involved. I didn't know Bob beforehand, and it's only after, since he's been sheriff, that he shared with me some of the things that are going on. And I know that in the end, in the long term, we're gonna suffer because this place is growing so rapidly. And when you have rapid growth, and I've been through that before, when you have rapid growth and your infrastructure is not ready to handle it, things are gonna break. But you see, here, unlike business or building permits, breaking means people's lives. It lowers the quality of life. And that's not why we relocated here. So to me, Brent, is to make the case to the public of what's going on, to disclose what's happening. And if you want a better law enforcement agency, then you're gonna have to pay for it. And if you don't wanna pay for it, then you're not gonna get it. But that's up to you to decide, not for me.
This has been a very educational luncheon today. So the one thing that, and I read the paper every day, and I saw today is the lack of law enforcement, the need of more. I didn't know it was 30% on 911. 3 years ago, my husband had a stroke, and if 911 wouldn't have been there, let's rally. Thank you.
I got a question here, and I know I have a question over there, and then we're gonna adjourn, so thanks.
I want to ask a question. I'm running for governor. Could you you mentioned briefly that you wanted to abolish, perhaps, I hope, I heard you say, the state income tax and also cap property taxes. And I think those are, I'm all for that, like most of us in here. How do you propose to, in what way would we make up that revenue, or what would we cut? What would the balance be for that?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. You know, ideas are only as good as your ability to implement them, right? And when it comes to the budget of the state, I think we have to recognize there are certain things our state government ought to do, the necessary and reasonable services of state government, and there's a whole lot of things we need to get government out of. Let me tell you what government shouldn't do anymore. We shouldn't offer grant money for woke poetry. Can we agree on that? I think we should no longer promote the services of Planned Parenthood to provide. Think of this, your state government, and that would be my one question for the Attorney General, because I've actually produced evidence of how our state agencies are violating state statute and promoting Planned Parenthood and the like. And I would like to see some action on that. To answer your question, we have to not just cut taxes, we have to shrink government. For my friends who studied economics, you understand every stinking time we shrink government and cut taxes, everyone does better. If you believe in the economic policies of President Trump, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, folks, the government will provide better, necessary, and reasonable services if we get it out of all this other garbage stuff and shrink it. And that is what we have to do. But I'll throw some numbers out there because, well, I'm kind of a numbers guy, and I'm sure some of you are too. The income tax in the state government brings in about $2 billion a year. Did you hear what the surplus is? It's about $2 billion. But beyond that, you have to understand, and I'm not talking about the pension. Nobody's going after Percy here. We have a great pension in the state. We don't need to go around messing it up. Separate from the pension, your state government is sitting on over $8 billion in cash and short-term investments. Yes, that, you heard me correctly, and I know there are some people who know their legislators, they say, Ed, what are you talking about? You know, I heard about the general fund and this and that. Folks, the general fund is one of over 360 funds in your state government. Here's something even a number of legislators don't know, and it concerns me. Do you know we have $2.5 billion a year on auto pay in your state government? Oh, recurring appropriations that once approved, they just go and they go and they go, $2.5 billion a year. So I would say abolish the state income tax. And nobody's touching the rainy day funds. I'm a financial planner, folks. That's my job to tell people about rainy day funds. But the rainy day fund is about $400 million. We don't need $8 billion set aside to just grow government. So we're gonna start spending some of that down, and we're also not gonna pay grant money for woke poetry. And another one I saw, go to the Boise Art Museum sometime. I really recommend it. It's quite a journey. Last time I went, a few years ago, they had little figurines, like stick figurines made out of cat hair. I'm not exaggerating right now. This is funded in part because of your tax dollars. So this is why I'm saying, if you had a governor who sat down in the Capitol and on day one said, bring me the budget for every agency in this state government and bring in a box of red pens, you would see immediate and drastic change. Thank you. The property tax piece. Because the property tax one is really, really important. And I've worked with many people who are on a fixed income, and I have to tell you, the Biden economy is crushing to those people. You got inflation through the roof, fuel prices through the roof, their IRAs, their 401ks are plummeting, and then they don't know what their next property tax bill is even gonna look like. Nobody in this room knows what your next property tax bill is gonna look like. It's unpredictable and it's skyrocketing. Let me tell you the principle that my property tax plan is built around. Growth should pay for itself. Growth ought to pay for itself. And here's how we accomplish that. So the current property tax system is just like this. You buy a house and other people choose to move in around you. They put it on your back to help pay for the infrastructure and services for those people who are moving in around you. That makes no sense. This is literally how simple it can be. And because I'm not backed by special interest groups, I'm free to say things like this. When you go to buy a house, you should know what the total property tax bill is going to be on the house for every year for your entire lifetime. You should know. You should be able to budget for that. And I know some people will say abolish the property tax. I will tell you that is a horrible idea. Let me tell you why. If you abolish the property tax, you're going to have bureaucrats in Boise dictate to Kootenai County how much funding your county can have and what projects it can take on. Do not do that. That will be a grave error. So did that answer your question? More so than you probably wanted. Okay. No, great question. Thank you.
So I have a question for Bruce. I want to know where you stand on impact fees with all this growth in Coeur d'Alene, that instead of raising property taxes to pay for deputies, impact fees, we could do that, and then all these builders, Post-Falls School, is it Post-Falls School District? They're talking about building a new school. And you know what? Where are we at with the builders? They're making a fortune with all this growth. And we have to pay for new schools. So what's wrong with getting money from them? Where do you stand on that?
Well, first of all, I think the taxing system here is perverse because it makes the people who live here have to pay for the infrastructure so more people can move here.
We're tired of it.
I believe that your regular taxes should go towards county operations, and I think that there should be impact fees. I think there should be lots of impact fees for all the new developments. And it wouldn't be like $500 like what Rathdrum charges. It would be something that's reasonably reflective of not only what we incur now, but what we would have to incur in the future. Because government it's step, it goes with growth is with a step program. When you do need another building, for example, that's a lot of money. So you have to plan for that. So I'm totally for impact fees. I feel like we've been a day late and a dollar short on that. A lot of the growth that we're seeing today was the result of planning 10 years ago. And this problem was allowed to fester for years. The commissioners should have seen that way earlier. And if they couldn't have done anything because of the state legislature, they should have been working with the legislators and allowing them to do that. Because the state sadly controls the counties in a rather strict way and limits what they can and can't do. But I think that all the taxing districts should have impact fees, especially the schools for sure, because they have some of the biggest fees that people pay every year.
Thank you. Jennifer left, but you know, like Jennifer, she's gonna be here, she's gonna be one of our speakers in April. And one of the things that she's gonna talk about is gonna be all the different taxing districts that we have. Because that is, it is very complicated. But with that said, we're gonna adjourn the meeting. I know you have lots of questions. Candidates are gonna stick around for a little bit. We do have, we do have some information on the table, candidate information if you wanna take it. As soon as we have the website updated with the information with candidates, how to get a hold of the representatives here, we're gonna make sure that you have that information. And we're gonna meet here on Thursday, April 7th. Thank you very much for being here.